Alright. Hello, everybody. Get rid of this. I don't care. Comment. I don't want the comments right now. Hide. Alright. Hello. Welcome to TravTube Podcast, episode 3. Today, I'm with...
The child.
Also known as WorldWonderMinds. One of my friends for a long time. And I'm very happy to be with him right now. Like, this is literally, like, I've been wanting to do this with you for quite a while. And yes, face reveal, he doesn't care.
Nice. First funny moment of the stream.
I'm gonna pause this just for a second because I have something to do. Alright. I sent you the questions. I sent you the questions on Discord so you can I can read them to you.
Alright, we got this.
Alright.
Are you gonna read the questions?
I'm gonna read the questions.
You read.
Okay, yes. The first question is about our history. The first few questions. First question. Why did you put WorldWonderMinds Gotcha Friends as your YouTube channel name?
Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of inspiration behind the name. Wonder is obviously because of the strange, wondrous kind of euphoric feel that you get when you watch a video. It's usually cringe, but it still has some like scientific explanations for itself.
Well, yeah.
And world, of course, used to represent the planet Senator B, but now it represents like all the worlds that I've been deviating into existence with my little brain. That's actually a big brain. Yeah.
That's pretty much it for that. Second question. Do you remember how we first met?
Not really. I don't remember much from elementary, but I do remember some funny stuff. Such as the whole cat stuff, the falling down, and the best part, random singing.
Yes. Third question. In time, when did you start to feel our friendship grow?
I think it was when we started playing games, drawing, you know that?
Yeah.
Like, we were, like, out of all the people that were repelled by my annoyingness, which was a thing that I was doing anyways.
Used to it.
It was used to it. Anyone who's used to it just kind of slips into friendship.
Yeah. Again, you're my first best friend.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your latest memory of us doing when we were in 3rd grade?
I remember the last thing we did before you moved away was we saw an assembly. It was about an owl, I think. I think it was about some owl that you couldn't get in you couldn't like buy, and like it flew around and you tried to like raise your arm to get it to come to you, but then I was like, no, put it down, put it down.
I remember that now. I remember that. Do you miss 3rd grade? Would you revisit the time that you remember?
Absolutely
to remember how you felt about it then?
Like, I don't remember anything except with like stuff on lunch in Travis. I remember very little about old school stuff, and that's a good thing because I don't want to remember.
Sometimes that is a little crappy. Last question on the past part, or personal. If you could change one thing in life, what would you change?
The only thing I would change in life would probably be re-editing the education system. It's a good idea to have children learn.
Yeah.
But some of the things the education system is doing now is starting to get me kind of concerned. First of all, the security system on devices such as computers, they're getting extremely updated, which hasn't been done before. Before, the students had privacy, but now they're having more, now they're getting observed more digitally.
Yes.
Instead of just being stared at from behind.
And it sucks.
So what I would have wanted to do...
Logan! My friend Logan's watching the
Hey,
podcast. Hey Logan, hey Mega Monkey Gamer. This is WorldWonderMinds Gotcha.
The child.
The child. Alright. questions about the book series,
Alright,
the story series.
start your questions.
What inspired you to start working on this series?
Well, the stories didn't... The main stories are, the main 3 books came into my mind after I was finished writing finished deleting some sub-stories. I used to write before this, but those stories weren't able to come out because of either copyright reasons or that they were a bit cringe. And nobody wants that cringe.
Absolutely not. That's
So, either way, I started writing because I wanted to get out some of my mind.
Yeah.
So, if people could, like, understand what my imagination was like more, they could understand, how I operate instead of just, some people are repelled, which is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Others won't if they, like, research that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
The more research they do, the better the consequences.
Yeah.
Not really consequences, they're benefits.
Yeah. Question 2 on the series. Which character can you relate yourself to and why?
The only character I can relate to is possibly the main character. He is, he's got a tiny sliver of himself that is based off of me, and everything else is either fictional or based off something that's a bit out of our league.
Yeah.
So, the little parts of him that are based off me is, the fact that he's autistic, and that he has and that he loves to eat. Those are some of the only things.
Which character do you think has the most sad backstory?
Okay, so backstory-wise, I think it would be tied with Ahiko Maverick and Pythiaki. And I'm gonna go from Ahiko first because I said her name first. Ahiko Maverick is supposed to be in the stories, which for context, it's gonna deal with not just the future. It's not just a future story. It's also gonna deal with the past, and it's gonna also deal with parallel universes. And Ahiko Maverick is supposed to be a reincarnation of the real life person and Frank in this world. Which, if anyone knows what happened to her, yeah, I think you know why her backstory would be kind of sad. And she reincarnated, which there's also a reason why she reincarnates and doesn't pass on, is because she's too mad, and obviously she was stripped of her life, and she became vengeful against the German soldiers. She doesn't know the difference between a normal German and a German soldier because they abducted her and her family. And now that she's reincarnated, she wasn't redeemed from so she still got that grudge, and it's not going away anytime soon. And with Pythiaki, she's a bit more straightforward and more modernly, in a way. She used to be an Afghanistani human, and she was, if anyone knows what's going on in Afghanistan, they know exactly the problems that are happening. She was a refugee, but she died trying to save her family, and it worked, but she didn't pass on because she was still mad at what was happening to her home. So she reincarnated, and she reincarnated as a albino green anaconda, and then in 3000 she mutated into the character we see today.
Can you give us a follow-up about the main villain of the story?
The main villain, some would think that in the first book, the main villain might be the angels of heaven, which obviously is why these stories have a controversial meaning to them.
Yeah.
But this story actually does a twist on us on what the villain is. Some may think it's Zeus in the second book. Some may think it's Odin in the second book. But really, it's not a person, it's a thing. The primordial anger is the villain that I have decided for the story. And it's not just a villain, it's the villains.
Yeah.
In a way, this is like the modern trope of taking an infection and making it corrupt people. Games like this are like Smash Bros. Ultimate, where a large force from an unknown dimension corrupts everyone and makes them do things against their will. That's seen in a lot of media.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is different, and in order to understand it, you would have to understand why they'd exist in the first place.
Yeah.
And this virus is, it's a mix of demonic possession and the rabies virus, which, if you know what happens to animals when they get infected by it, that can be kind of scary to watch.
Yeah. And kind of dangerous.
Really dangerous. One bite from someone infected by the primordial anger would give it to you, and then you would pass it on to without even wanting to. Beating up loved ones, beating up your villains, and possibly punting the family dog.
About your main character, what are Zenith's inspirations?
So going through the main inspirations we had were characters that he kind of was mainly based off of in the beginning. In the beginning, he was just a monster child. He was based off of the strikingly hard to kill Indoraptor from Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. He had inspirations from the character Kirito from Sword Art Online, Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, and the biggest inspiration out of all of them was Venom from Marvel.
Oh yeah.
More of these will get explained in the later questions, but the biggest inspiration, other than Venom, would be black holes, because we don't really know about them.
Now the last topic of the interview, the future plans.
Yeah.
What kind of things would you like to put out in the world other than the series?
The series are going to be the catalyst for a bunch of things in the future. First, there's going to be the graphic novels. Those are going to have to come out sometime. Then there's the animated series, which is going to be a retelling of the events, but also it's going to be pointing forwards at new things that we
Never seen
never
before.
saw. And not just that, there's going to be a spin-off series called the Beyond Biospheres, which is going to talk about some of the strange wildlife we see in the stories.
Yeah. Can't wait for those. I really can't. If you had the ability to create your own video game, what would it be about?
The autistic hero of the game. I mean, think about it. First the book, then the graphic novel, then the anime, then the game. It would be a trifecta, a quarfecta. And then, of course, merch, and then live-action movie, which would probably be pretty bad, but it fleshes it
Usually
out.
are, but oh well. It's out there. If you could create a movie out of every actor ever, who would you choose to voice your main character, and what movie would it be about?
Okay, so either way, if I were to make a movie, it would not be not in the realm of the autistic hero. But that being said, it would still be in the same continuity of events. I would still make the movie pretty interesting. So it would have I don't know, superheroes. It'd have a mutant. It'd have a dinosaur. It could have any one of those. But the only thing I would do to connect it is use the primordial anger as the villain, because it's a good villain. Possibly because it's the most evil.
What actually got you becoming a YouTuber? Who gave you the idea?
It actually wasn't my idea. The idea was that I was watching so many source filmmaker animations, and I was like, these are amazing. But then I realized that there was so many complications to it that I had to slow down in trying to get it. So I settled into gacha not because of what everyone else does, but because it's simple. It's simple. You can just take screenshots of every frame and then line them up in video with music or a video. That's it. It's very easy to get out a story, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah. Do you wish that you could do life differently, or would you tell your past self to do better?
I would decide to not. If I were to go back in time and see my past self, I would not do anything. Instead, I'd watch and see what it would do for others like me. So if I could see how it would go out from the beginning, I'd be like, oh, so it's gonna end up like that.
Last question. Who is your favorite Nintendo character and why? And I probably already know who it is.
So, my favorite character in all of Nintendo history is the legendary Pokemon Eternatus. The Pokemon Eternatus has dwarfed Kirby in popularity because of how interesting its story is. It's in the beginning of Sword and Shield. When you play it, you immediately get told that there's the strange phenomenon of Dynamax, Pokemon getting larger and just assuming a Godzilla form. But you don't know where this comes from, and then when you start learning about it, you realize it's not a thing, it's a force. and then in the end game, you discover that it's actually just a weird-looking dragon. But then it pulls another trump card on you, and then it Eternamaxes and becomes a giant hand. And of course, that's amazing, but it's not the end either, because it still has story, because Sword and Shield decided to release some DLCs, and those expand on it. It's just an amazing giant hand guy that's 100 meters long.
Oh my gosh, Logan said Mega Man. Because that's his favorite Nintendo character.
It's not a Nintendo character.
Well, it's tied with Nintendo.
Not tied with Nintendo with Smash
Nintendo
Bros.
has the licensing.
It does have the licensing, but it's its own company. I can see why Nintendo would buy it, because Capcom doesn't care about Mega Man.
Because the lore of it.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the 10th game and the 11th game that they came out kind of recently,
Flop.
Yeah. I mean, that year difference.
Yeah.
It took like almost like 8-9 years just to get another game out. But anyway, that's all for the questions. That's all for the interview. Thank you for let me. I'm not gonna say force you, but
He's not forcing.
Yet. Wait, what? Thank you for going on this episode of this interview podcast episode with me.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
And before we started, I was gonna have him put this on, which you can try it. Actually, put it on first.
I'll put it on.
Put that on first.
That's too big.
It's too big.
Actually, it's too small.
Too small. I can just untie this because I tied it like an idiot. It was too big for my.
That's what I say when I have shoes.
It was too big for my small head.
Small brain.
Yes.
Nobody can just do whatever. 8 years. Yeah, 8 years since Mega Man. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Since Mega Man came out. Yeah, I think so. Since that 10th game came out, right? Anyway, thank you all for joining. Whoever is watching this afterwards, or thank you, Logan, for watching the live stream. I'll probably see you guys later on another podcast episode. This is the first time in a long time, like ever since like a year. I made the second episode 12 years for 10, 8, or for 11. Yeah. 12 for 10, 8 for 11. Yeah. So that makes sense. So that's gonna be it. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you later. Bye bye.